This part of the season always feels like the in-between. Not quite full growth, but not quite waiting. The weather can't seem to decide either. Hailstones at breakfast, warm sun by lunch, and then a frost waiting for me in the evening. This is the part of spring where small jobs matter most. We've been slowly working on finishing our chicken coop so the chicks have a home. The unpredictable weather means every job just takes a little longer. Every plan needs a backup and we're constantly swapping between gloves and a jumper. Our first job today is to finish framing the main coop door and the little chick door. The chick door will run on a pulley system, so eventually we can keep the chicks safe and warm overnight and open it in the morning without stepping into the run. We are not DIY people. We both work in IT. But I'm learning as I go. Simon's done much more than me, but building the chick brooder was the first time I had ever used a drill. It's funny how these projects grow your confidence without you even noticing. Piece by piece, the coop is becoming something real. We also laid Lino for the floor. It was an unwanted offcut from a local shop that turned out to be from their premium range. Nothing but the best for the chicks. The Lino will make cleaning the coop so much easier. The sawdust will just sweep straight out. There was something really satisfying about this stage. We found our rhythm quite quickly. I measured and cut each piece and Simon secured everything in place. Bit by bit, the coop started to feel like a real little home. This was the final piece of the coop boarding. Although we did get it wrong the first time, we ended up recutting this piece so we could shift the vent opening and add a little bit of extra length to tuck neatly under the roof bars and match the rest of the design. One of those little fixes you only spot once the board is actually in your hands.
Like we measured it.
Like a glove?
Like a glove.
The chicks loved watching us work, sitting there like little supervisors who've never held a hammer in their lives. They were probably checking we were installing their premium flooring correctly. The last section to finish is the sliding coop door, which will work on a pulley system so we can open from the front of the coop. And not forgetting a chick ladder to help the chicks climb to bed. Today I'm separating out the chive seedlings, easing them into little clumps of 4. They grow better this way, not crowded, but still close enough to support each other as they thicken up. The bees absolutely love them once they flower. Those little purple pom-poms are like a tiny bee buffet. It's one of the reasons I always make room for chives. They're harder, easy to grow, and they come back every year. In the kitchen, they're brilliant. They're fresh, mild, and you can slip them into almost any dish. Eggs, potatoes, salads, soups. They add this quiet depth that makes the whole dish feel more thoughtful. Chives are a bit like the friend who never makes a fuss but somehow makes everything better just by being there. I always give them a bit of a trim after planting. It looks a bit brutal, but it helps them put their energy into strong roots instead of trying to look tall before they're ready. And they bounce back quickly. Chives are nothing if not resilient. I'm also sowing more chive seeds today. The plan is to make a little chive border along the edge of each bed. A soft green line that comes back every year and makes the whole garden feel more intentional. They're brilliant for companion planting. Chives help to deter aphids and carrot fly. Apparently the scent confuses pests, although I like to think of them as a little green shield protecting the carrots. The chicks are getting more inquisitive and confident every single day. A little too confident, if I'm honest. They've now successfully scaled the tiny fence, the one that was supposed to keep them contained, and helped themselves to a full feast on my sprout plants. They were very proud of themselves. I was slightly less impressed. It's like living with a group of tiny feathered toddlers who've just learnt how to climb. Curious, unstoppable, and absolutely delighted with their own abilities. This is how the coop is looking today. We moved the chicks in a few days ago, and we can already see a few alterations we need to make. We needed to pin the roof down on the nest box section. This whole area is closed off to the chicks at the moment. They're not laying yet, so it means it keeps the nesting area clean and it encourages them to roost on the roosting bars instead. The most important alteration we need to make is to this entrance area. As you can see, there's no lip, which means that as the chicks go in and out of the coop, they bring all their bedding with them, which is why their bedding's all over the floor. So we need to alter this area to build a lip across the front of this section just to keep all the bedding in place. I'm sure there are other parts of our coop design we'll improve over time. That's just how these projects go. You only really understand what needs tweaking once it's been lived in. It's amazing to see the coop actually in use now, and to know the chicks are safe. All the measuring, the recutting, the problem solving, it suddenly feels worth it when you see them settling in, exploring and treating it like home. It's a good feeling watching something you built with your own hands doing exactly what you hoped it would. We built the coop from as much salvaged material as we could find. Leftover plywood from our kitchen renovation, roofing felt from when we redid the shed, a few featherboards we rescued from an old fence, and even some framing came from a dismantled pallets. It feels good giving all these scraps a second life. Pieces that would have ended up in the skip are now part of something useful, something that keeps the chicks warm and safe. It's not perfect, and it doesn't need to be. There's a kind of charm knowing the coop is stitched together from the story of our home. A little bit of kitchen, a little bit of shed, a bit of fence, and a couple of pallets that definitely didn't expect to become a chicken palace. We are really looking forward to having our own eggs from the chicks, but that's still a while away, around about 8 to 10 weeks. This quiche feels like a little ode to the garden, to the eggs we're anticipating, and to the chives I've been coaxing along for weeks. I only just managed to scrape together a tiny handful of chives for this, a very small harvest. Barely enough to sprinkle, but enough to make it taste like spring. There's something lovely about cooking with what you've grown, even if it's just a few strands of green. It doesn't need to be perfect or abundant, just honest food made slowly with whatever the garden is willing to share. I didn't quite make enough mixture for my new to me, quiche dish. A little vintage treasure that turned out to be bigger than I realised. So I had to improvise. A bit more egg, a splash more cream, a handful of cheese, just enough to bring it all together. Cooking quietly reminds me that most things in life can be adjusted. A little more of this, a little less of that, and suddenly it works again. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be made with care. The garden's starting to look properly green now. The beds are filling out, and we've been harvesting salad leaves almost every day. The pak choy and sprouts are looking well too, or at least they will if the chicks decide to stay on their side of the fence. I did find what I thought was a weed. It turned out to be an acorn a squirrel had very confidently buried. I suppose everyone's planting something at this time of year. The pepper leaves are starting to look like stained glass, all those different shapes and shades catching their light in their own way. Before I head in, I always stop by the coop, The chicks are settling down for the night, all warm and tucked away. It's a small thing, but saying goodnight to them has become part of the rhythm of the day. A quiet end to a busy, growing sort of evening.